Hello everyone and welcome back to Unity of Command. This is the campaign scenario Luga to Leningrad from the DLC Black Turn. August the 10th, 1941. Stiff Soviet resistance on the Luga River line put a stop to the initial German thrust in July. After a pause of several weeks, Army Group North is now about to resume its advance towards Leningrad. And we can immediately see that we are quite heavily outnumbered, 2-1 in fact. And as the text says, the Soviets are in well-entrenched positions, and as always behind a river, or rather two rivers, as you will see soon. So this is a somewhat challenging map in some aspects. We get one air attack per turn indefinitely, so we can use this action once every turn. We also get one bridging action, one altogether, so literally you can only use it once throughout the scenario. And there are quite a few places where you could apply it, so it can be useful in several places, but it's not crucial like in some other scenarios. And we get a new action as well, special action as well, logistics, which raises the range of any one of your supply sources by 1, and you actually get 4 actions like this, but we can only apply them once a turn. So all throughout the game, you know, in 4 separate turns, you can raise your supply source to be more powerful. This is an excellent action, and we're gonna put it to good use. Okay. Let's see. A strange thing about this scenario is that it's kind of separated into two fronts, like as if the two front lines were hardly connected at all. In fact, you can kind of consider them practically separate for most intents and purposes. So as you can immediately see in the north, we have a lot of useful troops facing relatively meager Soviet resistance, and this is actually the easy sector. I would still break it down to 2 different sectors, we'll see in a moment, but note that we have 3 Panzer Divisionen, they're all veteran. We have 2 motorized divisions, also veteran, and we have 2 SS divisions. Number 4 Polizei is one with a pioneer special step, but it only has standard level experience, and it is not motorized, so be aware of that. This is a relatively good infantry unit, but you have to note that without the pioneer special step, it would not be much superior to a standard infantry division, so it's not at all the elite of the elite like the other SS units are. And we also have the Totenkopf, the 3rd SS division, which is a very good one indeed. So it is elite, it is motorized, and yeah, it is extremely powerful. So this is one of our better units. In the southern sector, or eastern, or whatever, however you want to call it, we have 3+3 infantry divisions. 5 out of these 6 have special steps. We have seen all of these special steps before, so we have 2 88mm Flugabwehrkanone anti-air guns. We have 2 pioneers, which are excellent. We also have a Stug, which is basically our tank. So it's all good. They're excellent units overall. As for the Soviet troops, we don't have much new to report. In the south, there are a couple of motorized and tank divisions. And of course, we have a lot of guns, as usual. We have a couple of NKVD units as well, usually in critical situations in cities. One of the Soviet tank divisions has a KV-1 tank attached to it, which is probably makes it their best unit. It's still their weaker tank special step compared to the T-34 at least. And here we have something interesting. The Krasnogvardeysk garrison actually is veteran, has a star next to it, if you can see it on the map. So basically this is the first veteran unit we're facing. This is a very strong unit with an NKVD special step and 7 standard steps, entrenched, whatever you would like. And we also see the 4 infantry divisions of the Leningrad garrison, and although they do not need to be defeated, it is worth noting that they all field towed equipment, towed guns, as well as very high levels of experience. So actually, although they are standard, if they manage to deal any blows to any of our units, they will immediately become veteran. And unfortunately, this is going to happen because I make a few mistakes here. Overall, yeah, before we go more into many more detail, let's see the map itself. So we have 4 objectives. The first one to hit is Krasnogvardeysk. Take this strongly held position guarding the approach to Leningrad. It is not that strongly held, as I've said. It is held by one of their best units, but other than that, it is actually not that powerfully kept. We also have Demyansk in the south. The only objective is to be taken in the south. Push here to meet up with forces from Army Group Center advancing north from Kalinin. We also need to capture Shudovo. Sever the rail line to Moscow at this Volkhov river crossing. And in the far northeast we have Schlüsselburg. Isolate the city by cutting its last rail line to the rest of the USSR. Krasnogvardeysk needs to be taken by the end of turn 5. The two following objectives need to be taken by the end of turn 6, and finally Schlüsselburg needs to be taken by the end of turn 7. And the 2 objectives victory hexes in the north are very easy to capture. Chudovo is relatively easy to capture, and Demyansk is next to impossible. You need to get really lucky to hit that, because your forces there are very meager, and there is no special strategy to be applied there, or no trick really. So you just need to persevere and push through. Theoretically, you could move some units from the north, like from the northwest, for instance, the Totenkopf SS division, but that means that it would stay out of action for 1 turn, and that's a huge sacrifice to make. Instead, we are going to use it with, we're going to use another strategy with it, something that is more useful in my opinion. And that means that Demyansk needs to be taken by these 6 infantry divisions that we have in the southeast, and they need to practically destroy, well, not all, but most of these units facing them. So that's a real challenge. Let's quickly take a look at the terrain. The terrain is a bit interesting. We have already known that we are facing a river crossing. Luga to Leningrad is the name of the scenario. We have the Luga river here in the northwest, and the Soviets have entrenched positions just beyond this river. And on the southern side of Lake Ilmen, we have another river, Lovot, which is also held by the Soviets. And let's start here. So basically what you have to do is you have to keep your supply lines intact while advancing across the river. So we have to make sure that our supplies are okay, are en route. We're going to see the supply real soon. In the northwest, we need to cross Luga, and we need to advance along this supply line. Practically, we will repair the breach here to allow us a bit better movement, and this is probably the best place to use the bridging action on. But we don't have a supply route coming on this road, so it's not that it's not crucial at all or vital. And here we have a gap, at least a seeming gap in the Soviet front lines, in the sense that there is no river connecting the source, the spring of Luga, to Lake Ilmen, and so this is something we can exploit. But please note that Lake Ilmen is very easy to traverse, at least the eastern part, so the Soviets in a few turns can advance behind our back, and so you need to be careful on how you position your units here. I do a few tricks here to trick the Soviet units into advancing. What my main objective here is, apart from of course capturing Chudovo, is to lure as many of the forces from the south to the north as possible, and I think this way the SS division is better used than if I had sent it to the south. Right. There's not much else to report, a bit of forests, a bit of swamps, but basically once you push through for your tanks and motorized divisions, this is kind of ideal terrain. As for the supplies, let's start with the Soviets. The Soviet supplies cannot be cut off. They sit in supply in the city of Leningrad. Their other supply is also on the road. This one isn't, strangely enough, but it doesn't matter because it's right next to Demyansk, so by the time we would be able to cut it off, we could just easily take the town itself. So in this regard, you don't need to worry about cutting the Soviets off from their supply in the back. However, as we advance, you will see that some units, especially here in this middle sector, will be cut off from supply because their supply lines are not that powerful, and we'll be able to, you know, exploit this quite a bit. As for ourselves, we have a supply source in the north, which will run dry very quick. That's why I also repaired the bridge, so at least it lasts a bit further. But as it is not on the road, it's you cannot count with it in the long term. We have one in the south that is going to supply our southern little strike force, capturing that to capture Demyansk all the way. By the way, it can reach up until almost until Demyansk. It doesn't reach until Demyansk, but 1 or 2 hexes before it. So it's going to be sufficient, and so we are going to use this our main supply route, which has a starting range of 6, and we're going to upgrade it with our special action that I described earlier. In the end, it's going to have a range of 10, and it is actually going to help us also in this sector a bit. But it's going to be very helpful in our northern push, and practically we're never really going to run out of supply. The only danger here is running out of supply in the south. So what do? First thing we do, we try to push through the gap and also to threaten. First I attack this NKVD unit. It's the strongest one here, and see if I can destroy it. What I can't. I wanted to make it flee. Obviously, NKVD unit rarely flees, rarely runs away. But you know, that's why that's what I was hoping for. And naturally, we need to cross around in this line. There's our bridge here and our supply route. So this is crucial to push the enemy here, and we have an extremely standard a dime a dozen Soviet infantry division facing our Polizei division, which again is not elite in any way, but it is still better than a standard infantry division, and it's a pioneer step, so it's excellent. And we immediately, you know, cause them great casualties, and the way is open. We are sending our tanks across immediately. What we want to do is we want to push as far ahead as we can, while also keeping the whole supply line intact. This is very important. We want to make sure that the Soviets cannot cut us off, so we need to hold these 3 points at this moment, 3 C hexes. In the west, I use these 3 units to push across next turn, obviously, and capture the bridge. The river actually flows behind this Soviet unit, so that what that means is that we cannot cross the river this turn, but it also means that this Soviet unit is kind of cut off, so once we attack it, it gets cornered and loses all its active steps, which is excellent. Now we can just bash at it, and we need to make sure that we can cross the river the next turn, so that's what we do. We got here, and that's it. I put this mechanized division here for 2 reasons: to allow it to advance next turn if the Soviets retreat, which they will, by the way, and also to kind of threaten them and to make sure they don't cross the river. I don't think they would, but anyway. Now I managed to also push the Polizei division forwards, but we need to secure this route, which is going to happen, no problem. We just need to screen off our flank, and now I use this special action. We raised the range of this supply source by 1, so that's the first step we took. And now I'm attacking in the southeast. I'm going to use all my air attacks here because this is the crucial front. This was actually the first time I managed to capture Demyansk, and as you can see, this is the replay, so we managed to capture everything in time. in the north, these 2 points are very easy to get, as I've mentioned already. Should always a bit tricky, but once you know what you're doing, it's also not that difficult. So after a few tries, then in the whole northern and middle sectors become kind of trivial, especially the northern sector. This is very easy. But this southeastern sector is very, very tricky, so we need to do a lot of things carefully, and we need to get lucky, because if we lose our special steps, then I mean, if you lose your pioneer special steps like in the first or second turn, then I just recommend you restart the scenario. You're not going to get through all of these forces amassed here. So I sent the bomber. It did nothing, but we can of course try to push through, and we manage. And that's it. In the south, what we're doing here is just basically we're trying to grind down. We're also trying to slowly advance. This is the one with the 88 guns, so it is a bit weaker after, quite a bit weaker after attacking, but anyway. The Soviets are trying to push up against us. Once again, I don't understand why the AI doesn't leave their entrenched units, its entrenched units in place. Sometimes it replaces them with unentrenched units, so this is extremely poor. But other than that, it's doing a good job bunching up in front of us. And see, all of these units are already out of supply, so the AI realizes this error and or this issue, and tries to pull some of them out at least. It also moved one of its divisions to the north, which is great, which is exactly what we want. We can deal with it here, and it's not a threat to our units, and this means one less division to take care of here. And we have these 3 infantry divisions coming from the east, and thankfully, with the threat coming here in the middle sector, the AI decides to throw them to the north and not directly to the west or southwest, which is good for us. Now we cross the river and we try to destroy this this unit. It has a gun, so it is actually quite strong. And strangely enough, we don't manage to destroy it, and it causes us grievous casualties. But at least we repaired the bridge, so our supply lines should be okay at least the next turn, and we can proceed forward. So that's so far so good. We achieve a breakthrough here, but you have to be careful not to rush too far ahead, and to also secure your supply lines. And a direct assault on the Soviet units is pretty deadly, so just wait until they run out of supply or they retreat or whatever. Now we try to advance along the main road, and as you can see, this Soviet tank division is extremely tough, so I decide to try another approach and go around it and find the weakest unit, which is this one, and it is relatively weak, and just push there to threaten the Soviets. It kind of works out, and yeah, the Polizei division can threaten the Soviet tank, and it retreats, and it also lost its KV-1 special step, and that's great. And once we position this unit here on this hex, nothing can threaten our supply lines, at least for the next turn. So this is a stable setup. These units, unless they manage to destroy one of them, which they won't, these units will all remain in supply. Now in the south, once again an air attack comes and destroys one supply, but that's, I mean, it's not good enough, but at least it's something, so we try to capitalize on this little success, and we destroy that tank unit. Now we make a mistake. This attack was quite underwhelming by the 88. It only destroyed one active step of this unit, and I need to move this unit back up to the north, or else these 2 infantry divisions will be out of supply. But that means that this Soviet infantry division on our side of the river is completely left to its own devices and can do whatever it wants, and it will do exactly whatever it wants. It will cut us off. Here I'm just, trying to be as effective as I can with our firepower. And in the north, the situation for the Soviets is already hopeless, so we know that the first objective is going to be captured. We can see that the middle sector, they're quickly running out of supply. They're also not very happy about it. But in the south, this unit has cut us off, so we need to deal with it. Unfortunately, we need to turn back, which is quite bad news, and we need to get back to supply. The AI doesn't really know what to do. I don't know if you've seen it, but it actually took some extra steps to move a few units. So it moved them once and then moved them again. It wants to keep them in supply, and it will, But that's, or at least most of them, but that's the point. We need to strike now, as long as these units are weakened. They're not entrenched, half of, or some of their steps are suppressed, so it's the perfect time to strike them. We try to remove this tank unit. We don't succeed at first, and yeah, we are pushing towards the objective. Now we succeed, but we are already out of supply. That's fine. If we manage to link up from here, then, you know, all of our units will be in supply. So we remove this tank unit and we attack the NKVD unit to wear it down. It was pretty underwhelming, but it was okay. Now it's better. They're breached. They're no longer entrenched, and we're just pushing. And we need to secure this supply line. We need to keep it secure. So that's one of our key objectives here. But I couldn't resist the temptation to try to destroy some stronger Soviet units here in the east. And I don't manage, but that's okay. At least we weaken them sufficiently. Yeah. So we're just trying to mop up some of the weakened units, and I send the SS across the river to push this unit back, or to threaten it at least. If it moved ahead and this unit moved as well, they could have removed they could have cut us off completely from supply. This way the SS unit will be cut off from supply, because any of these units can just move one hex ahead. The breach connects here, as you can see, so it will be cut off, but it's fine. It will still be able to act next turn, and we'll get it back to supply in no time. Here in the south we need to remove this unit, but I also couldn't resist the temptation to try to assault this one, and amazingly we don't manage. So we pull back. At least we are in supply now, but this unit is still behind us. We still need to waste another attack action on it, which is very precious here, unfortunately, so this is not good news. In the extreme south our attack goes better, and even though we lost one active step here, we are making progress. I forgot to use my air attack, so it kind of gets wasted this turn. Now the Soviets are trying to, as I said, trying to cut us off, which they manage obviously, and trying to bunch up in front of the objective hex. The thing is that these units are kind of out of supply, as you can see. Some of them are completely out of supply, so that's great. And yeah, this movement was completely pointless. The AI is doing some strange moves to bunch up forces, but we still need to cut through a lot of. So these moves are not very dangerous. They don't cause us much grief, at least. But now we need to mop up. We don't have many units, and the Soviets have a lot of weakened and useless units lying around, so at least we need to clear them out, or try to. Our supply situation in the north is great, but we have to make it, we have to clean up all these units standing against us. And we, as you have seen, we have upgraded our supply source once again, so it's at maximum capacity with a range of 10, which is excellent. It covers everything, so this is really great. And now we are just destroying the garrison here in the victory hex. We still have another turn to take it, but as I've said, this is a very easy objective to hit, and we're mopping up as well. So I'm hoping that we manage, we manage to destroy many units here. Be careful that there is rainfall here, so this unit gets a strong defense bonus. What's really interesting is that after moving here and attacking this unit, this motorized division had exactly the sufficient movement points to get into the objective, so I decided to capture and hold it with this veteran motorized division. It should be sufficient to hold it. And yeah, we're just trying to, as I've said, cause as many casualties as we can, and I guess we succeed in that. This was a very bad move, and I'll explain why. So I've thought that these Leningrad garrison units were hard-coded to not attack or not do anything, but that's not the case. As you'll see, they not only will they attack and destroy this unit, thereby gaining a veteran level of experience, but they will also move out and assault this victory hex and try to recapture it. So don't do this. Don't be mindful that these are very strong units, especially before moving, when they have this special step active as well. And yeah, and just count with that. Once they are veteran, they are 7 active step plus 1 special step strong. They can be extremely dangerous. So anyway, we clear out this spot so that we don't have any enemy units behind us, and we cover our supply, and that's it. Here we're still trying to mop up, and I use this standard infantry division to destroy as many of the Soviets as we can, and we can remove a lot of the divisions, including these ones as well. So now we're all fine, I guess. And I decide to attack this infantry unit, so I still have my movement points. And this was not a mistake. The reason I did this tricky move was to make this unit to capture the other side of the bridge, so that our supply lines run better. And in this way we are still in supply. I actually could have moved more forwards, but this was the last hex that the unit would get resupplied, the SS unit would get resupplied. So be mindful of this. Here in the south we're just continuing what we have been doing, which is trying to destroy as many of the Soviet formations as we can, and it goes fairly well. We finally removed this unit that assaulted us, and we need to force another crossing of the bridge once again. We succeed once again, and so we pick up positions. We have been in this position previously, if you recall, so we have come here to cover our supply route. There is no threat, so the Soviets cannot threaten to cut us off, and now it looks decent, but we still have a lot of units to mop up, unfortunately. They are not strong, so we are better than them in a one-on-one fight, but we have only 2 further turns left to capture Demyansk, so it can still be tricky. As I've said, this is by far the most difficult victory hex to capture. And once again I forgot to use my air attack, or neglected, so I wasted here. I was hoping it would cause at least 1 KIA damage, but it didn't. It will get resupplied, I think, so there's that. If not, then it was useful. It lost 2 steps to suppression, and since nothing seems to be threatening our flanks or our supply, I pushed this unit forward. I'm not afraid that it would get attacked, and it would be able to cause huge casualties to the garrison, and we need to slowly start pushing towards the Schlüsselburg garrison and try to capture it. Alright, it's the Soviets' turn. So that unit got resupplied, so our bombing run was for naught. But this is the last line of defense practically everywhere. So if you look at it, then you can see that they are bunching up their last depleted units in front of their victory objectives. Here we outnumber them practically everywhere. We outgun and out-experience them almost everywhere, except for the south, where I think they still outnumber us, but at least these units don't pose a threat to us. And now here comes what the result of that mistake I made. We grant them veteran experience levels, and which is not really great. Now I start in the south in turn 5 because I'm afraid that we will lose the battle there, but fortunately we get a great roll here, and this unit not only destroys this Soviet infantry division, but gains a level of experience with it. So it seems we are making great progress, and we managed to attack the city as well. First we bomb it, and we managed to suppress 1 active step, and the other step is passive because it was reinforced in its last turn, so it's relatively weak now, and I used one of our best units to attack it. We breach it and cause it 2 casualties. It's going to regain its supply, but it's still going to be 3 step strong, and yeah, it's not entrenched anymore, so it's not really a threat. And at this moment I'm fairly confident that we will capture Demyansk the next turn, unless something unexpected happens. And yeah, and we still managed to clean up quite a few of these units, so that's all good. Yep. And if you look at it, our supply line is also covered, so because this bridge is captured and the two battle groups managed to link up, we actually have supplies coming from all the sectors, so that's great. now in the middle sector, the name of the game is trying to push through, break through, and get to Chudovo as fast as we can. This is not at all difficult, so we use our tank unit to remove this depleted unit, move ahead, destroy this unit, and yeah, and at this moment in the next turn, the enemy doesn't, the AI doesn't really have anything that it can use against us, to be honest. So these three divisions won't stand a chance against the combined might of the Panzer and SS divisions. So we have won here as well. Here in the northern sector, we're just punching through. Nothing can stand against the Panzer. So yeah, so we just try to defeat them. However, our infantry is not that strong, so we are still trying to just push and yeah, remove this unit. It doesn't go as well as I could have hoped, but finally we remove it. And at this very moment, the Soviets, at least in the victory hexes, don't stand a chance. There is nothing they can do to prevent our victory already in the next turn, by the way. So the AI decides to do something bold and surprising and actually quite clever, to be honest. It rushes this victory hex. It is defended by a veteran level motorized division, the 36 36. Motorisierte Division. And it's, of course, it's defending, so it gets an advantage. And after movement, their special steps are suppressed. So at least it's now you can see that this is a standard unit with 7 active steps. That's it. So it's nothing extra, nothing special. However, and it gets repulsed, so that's something. However, it still manages to gain veteran level experience because it managed to suppress one of our steps. So the bare minimum of damage that they inflicted, this almost practically no damage whatsoever, it still managed to cause it a level up, kind of. These other 2 units are already veterans, so they are more threatening, and we have just become weaker. So this is very dangerous. And if we had at this moment, if this unit had cracked and retreated and fled, then they would have had some movement left, probably to recapture the victory hex, and we would have lost our brilliant victory. Fortunately, this unit holds with 1 active and 3 suppressed steps. This was a great defense, and we got extremely lucky that this happened. And this also means that their fate is sealed, because these 3 victory hexes won't hold the next turn. For a moment, I was thinking of pulling my units back and trying to reinforce or assist this unit here, but then I realized that we can just capture all 3 victory hexes and then we're good. So yeah, this unit shuffling won't save the AI, obviously. At first I decide to go for the other, before deciding on what to do in the north, I decide to see if we can capture the other 2 victory hexes, because if we do, then we have more options to go for in the north. And our air attack was extremely successful, and we managed to capture the victory hex and destroy 2 units with that one. So that's also great. Another experience level gained here. And as you can see, only 1 Soviet unit remains, and just out of fun, I decide to remove that one as well from the map. And at this moment, we've cleared out everything in the south, and I cannot emphasize how great this is. I think I made the correct choices here, but we also got lucky. I won't deny that. So you have to do something like this. Try to pull back if you have to, but you need to secure your supply line, so both sides of these bridges as much as you can. And when you can try to link up, then your supply route will be more secure, and you can combine your units a bit better. This will probably take a few tries to get through, but I never hoped that we would be able to destroy everything here. This unit is hard-coded not to move, I think, at least it never does, so you don't need to worry about that one. And now comes the middle sector. Oops. And I mean, now comes the middle sector. So we are just trying to remove all obstacles. We overrun the first unit, and we use the Pioneer SS to remove the breach. I use the Pioneer unit so we can remove the entrenchment and breach this garrison, the Chudovo garrison. But we also caused the enemy unit to flee, so the Totenkopf can just run in and capture the victory axe. and just out of fun we destroyed this unit on our side of the river. Now nothing is threatening us. This unit cannot hope to assault an elite SS division sitting on the other side of the river defending a city, so attacking across the river. So I decide to wager an attack, even if we lose some units, which we don't, by the way, then I still don't care. And now we really have nothing to fear, so I move out the division just for fun, and we remove this final Soviet active step. We link up everything, and now it's time to attack the Schlüsselburg, the final victory hex. We still have another turn to capture it, but we cannot wait. They will definitely be able to break this unit in the next turn. If we don't do anything about it, then we will lose our brilliant victory. So we either need to pull back and destroy at least some of these units, or push ahead and close it out now. And I decide to go for the latter, because we are situated for this purpose, right? So and we get extremely lucky. Our very first attack was extremely successful. We breached them and removed 6 steps, so the second attack can just mop them up, and we just roll in. That's it. So once again, although some of in this area, at least the story with the Leningrad garrison was a bit of a fluke. Apart from that, the northern and the middle sectors were quite clean. I think the southern sector was relatively clean too, except for that Soviet infantry division that managed to wreak some havoc in our back. In any case, the northern sector, just follow the northern sector is very easy. Just follow my lead here. So advance along the supply route, protect it at all costs, and use your strong units to attack and the weak units to flank or screen, and this should not pose a threat. I've managed to capture these 2 victory hexes in all of my tries, really. So it's like, I don't know how many times I've tried this map, but at least 4 or 5 times. These have never proved to be a challenge. In the middle sector, also try to do as I did. So try to keep in supply, try to threaten, and try to punch where the enemy is that it's most vulnerable, or where it's most painful for it to get attacked. And also don't be shy to allocate forces from your main thrust here. They definitely don't need that many units to advance to the north, and this should also fall relatively easily. And here in the south, once again, keep your supply routes clear. I already explained what to do here, but you also need to get lucky, unfortunately. So this is a map where at this one front line or front sector, if you get unlucky, if you lose special steps, for instance, then you cannot win, in my opinion. So if you want to get a brilliant victory, you need to be at least not unlucky. And that's it, really. It's a relatively short mission, even though you officially get 7 turns to finish it, and there aren't that many units on the ground. It's because there are not many units on the ground, and the distances are not that great. You can quickly restart it and replay it if you missed something. So this is a fun one. I really enjoy this one, and I'm very happy with this relatively clean result here. I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.